land was taken from black people, and this historical fact, its land was stolen. In fact, this kind of discussion, oh, you know, look at how bad the land patterns are, is yesterday's discussion. We are done. There's national consensus amongst black people. We're not interested to talk to Agri-SA, talk to land thieves, talk to those who benefited from colonialism and apartheid. No, it's black people now talking. We are no longer asking the question of whether we should do land redistribution or not. We are saying we're not going to pay for it. It must be done without paying compensation. And all the African people, black people, are agreed on this question.
It's very interesting that today we are speaking about being very calm, and we do not want to cause any turbulences. That very same section was indeed one of the sections that privileged a few and disadvantaged the majority of the people of this country. Therefore, our expectation as SANCO is that government must put in place a process that will expedite the process of smooth handing over. We don't only just want land, we also want to have people to have title deeds. Because if you give a person by word or by structure a piece of land without a document, and we want those title deeds to be processed without further incurrence of financial costs to be paid by the citizens of the country.
The fact that as the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, we are very much happy of the fact that the country today is alive to the reality and the fundamental principle of land ownership. This to us, it comes at a time when we are commemorating throughout the country the 40th anniversary of one of the founding fathers of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, Ubaba Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, who served us exceptionally well, who was crucified, who was vilified, who was humiliated, and finally poisoned for championing and orchestrating that is the issue of the land, that Africa is for Africans, Africans for humanity, and humanity for God.
The land resolution could go a long way towards righting past wrongs, but will it also initiate an open season for racial violence?
Well, I think it's a very dangerous route to take, and we only have to look at Zimbabwe to see what the consequences of that is. When you don't respect property rights, you destroy the economy, and all people are simply poor. We must remember that in Zimbabwe, under the Mugabe regime, people fled the country to South Africa because they struggled to survive, simply because international investors withdrew and the economy collapsed. So we are very worried about the fact that irrespective that we have an example of what happens if you do this, you still have people that want to go ahead and destroy the country's economy.
Legal land grabs may have unintended consequences for the economy.
No, we can never sit back and just accept that people's property is just simply going to be taken away. So, of course, we will engage the committee, the review committee that is going to be set up. But we also believe that we should make sure that there is international pressure, because we know that the international investors won't invest in a country where they don't feel that the investments are safe. And we need those investors to now come to the fore and tell the country, and especially Parliament and government, what the implications would be of this new policy, and that they would lose investments. But we have to make sure that those investors know what is happening in the country to put pressure on the South African government, and that is why we announced that we are now going also on an international campaign to ask the international community to put pressure on government.
Some analysts, however, downplay the importance of foreign investment to South Africa.
We do not need foreign direct investment in South Africa in order for the South African economy to prosper. South Africa has got resources. South Africa has got everything that it needs to grow. We only need political will, and we only need the ingenuity and the hard work of our people. But for any policies like expropriation of land to happen, we only need South Africa to retrace its roots, because we know that we are scared that anytime we start implementing policies that are in the interest of black people of this country, we are always scared of an onslaught or terrorist activities from white monopoly capital and foreign direct investment. So anytime that the country, or anytime that black people start to organize, come together to reclaim the economy and implement policies that will ensure that black people are not excluded from the economy, there is uncertainty in the market. All of a sudden, foreign direct investment is threatened. So that is the contradiction that we have today. If we don't address this contradiction, we will forever be enslaved to a narrative that seems to suggest to us that if we expropriate land, if we give our people back their dignity, then we are going to scare away foreign investors. Remember that South Africa is South Africa because of the Berlin Conference. So all the artificial borders you see around us are a creation of the Berlin Conference in 1884 to 1885. So we have to be sure that we have enough black people in Africa to support us the moment we divorce our marriage with foreign direct investment, because Africa is able to trade amongst itself. Inter-Africa trade is the future of South Africa. We have the market. Remember that black people have power, and this power comes from our power as consumers. In order to resuscitate the economy of South Africa and to allow the economy to grow, we need to industrialize the economy. And we have not been able to industrialize because neoliberal economics does not allow us. We have been enslaved to policies designed by the IMF and World Bank, which keep South Africa enslaved and under subjugation. And we can only do this by merging our economies together as African nations, becoming one power bloc that will be able to compete on the international market. South Africa cannot compete on the international market until it forms alliances, until it merges with other African nations that want to create this economic bloc that will allow Africa to present itself as a force on the global market.